Okay, so now we can move on to task number 2. And task number 2 says record who is going on the outing and how much has been paid. Using your results from task 1, record the names of the people on the outing and the amount they have paid. Include the carers on the outing. If there are spare places on the coach, then extra people can be added. They are charged the same price as the other senior citizens. Calculate the total amount of money collected. Print out a list of the people on the outing. Okay, so basically what we can do is we can start to think about how this is going to be done, and I've started a flowchart here. So because we know we're going to loop, I've got a counter, and we're going to input their name and the amount they've paid, and then we need to add their name to a name array. So I'm going to call it going. And it's going to be having the name, and then also the amount paid is going to go into another separate array, which is going to be amount paid, like that. Then we need to see, do we need to add another name? So let's add a decision box on, and the decision box is going to be, if we've got a counter, if the counter is less than or equal to how many can go, or up to a maximum of 36, I think, or was it 39? Let's just double check. It'll be 39. So we could let our counter go up to 39, and then, so that's fine. Oh, actually as well, we need to increase our counter by 1. So our counter equals counter plus 1. And also, do we want to enter another name, basically? So we can do two things there. Is the counter equal or less than equal to 39, or add more names, basically, like that. I think I might do that one in a separate box, actually. Yeah, I think I might do that one in a separate box, actually. If the counter is less than or equal to 39, we're going to be okay. So we'll loop around. If not, then we're going to end, actually. So yeah, so I'm just trying to think about how to do this. So if we have our counter less than how many can go, we can either end if it is equal to 39, or we can carry on and check to see whether or not we want to loop again. So let's add that there. Good. And that will be yes there. And if it's not, then we can have another arrow and another decision here to say, do we want to add more? Add name, or add more, I'll put. And if we want to add some more, then we can loop up here and input some more names. Okay, so that should be right. I'm just going to correct this and finish it off, and then I'll show you it in a moment. So there's my completed flowchart. So let's just go through that again. We're going to start, we're going to have a counter equal to 0. We're going to let the user input a name and the amount that person has paid. So it's someone going on the trip. Then we're going to take that name and add that to the going array. So it's a list of names of people going, and then add the amount they've paid into that going array as well. And then we're going to increase our counter by 1. And if our counter is less than or equal to 39, then we can continue and see whether or not we're going to add any more people. And then finally, if we need to add some more people, we'll input a name again. But if not, then we'll end. Okay, so let's look at the pseudocode for that. Okay, so for the pseudocode, we're going to input the name, and we're going to input the amount they've paid, and then we're going to add the name to the going array, and we'll add the amount paid to the paid array. And then we are going to see if we need to loop again. So we're going to have a while loop around this. Now we could yeah, we're not going to have a for loop. We need a for loop if we know how many times we're going to loop. We don't know how many times we're going to loop because we don't know how many people are going. There could be a difference between the people who said they were going to go and the people who are actually going. And more people are allowed to be added to the list if they're going to go as well. So we can have our counter up here. So we still need to check whether or not there's more than 39 going. Then we can have our loop here. So we can say while name is not equal to -1, so that's going to be our loop terminator, or our counter is less than or equal to 39, then we're going to loop. Okay, and yeah, so that's good. We need to increase our counter by 1. And that's it. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So the pseudocode is slightly different to the flowchart. The flowchart, you don't actually know whether or not it's going to be a while loop or a for loop until you actually write the pseudocode or the code. Okay, so this is ready to be coded now. So let's get this into our program. Okay, so once we've worked out the cost, we can add in our loop here. So we're going to have our counter, set that to 0, and we can say while counter is less than or equal to 39, then we're going to input the name. And if the name is equal to -1, we need a way to say we don't want to add any more names. So actually what we can do here is with our while loop is we can say or, we could do, actually what we actually need is a Boolean value for our while loop. So we need, I'll call it loop, and we'll say true. So I'm going to say we need to loop, or loop equals true. And what we're going to do is we're going to say if the name is equal to -1 in quotes, because this text, enter -1 to quit. Then, so if the name is equal to -1, so it's double equals there, then we're going to quit out basically. So this is our way. We finished entering names. We're going to type in -1 to quit, and we need to say loop equals false and break, and that will let us quit out. So let's just recap. We've got a counter to count to make sure that we don't go over 39 people on the trip. We've got a loop that's going to also help control our while loop, and our while loop is going to run while the counter is less than 39 or the loop is equal to true. Okay, so we enter the name, enter the person's name, and if we enter -1, we're going to set our loop controller equal to false and then break, and that will quit out immediately. Now then what we can do, we can say if actually, if the name's not -1, then we can get the amount they've paid. So we need to create a variable called amount paid. So let's add that, amount paid, and we're going to set that to be equal to 0. So the amount paid is going to be entered by the user. Now that's going to have to be a float. We're going to have to cast that to a float, because otherwise it could have, well, it could have pence in it. So we need to say enter the amount paid, and let them enter a decimal place. So I've missed out input as well, haven't I? Look, there we go. Good. So then we need to add these to our arrays, and I haven't created the arrays yet, so let's do that. So we can have one array called going, which is empty, and another one called paid, which is going to be empty. And we can then add those two values, the name and the amount paid, into those arrays. So going, I'll just do it on that line there actually, going dot append name and paid dot append amount paid. Okay, so that's going to add them in. What else do we need to do? Okay, so it says here, interestingly, it says if there are spare places on the coach, then extra people can be added and they are charged the same price as the others. So actually what we can do, and thinking about this, the hire of the coach is different, because if we've got this different number of people, I'm guessing, so this is a guess, that the hire of the coach is going to be a smaller coach. If we've got 12 to 16 people, you don't need a 45-seater bus or a 40-seater bus. You could have a minibus, for example. So, and that's why it's cheaper. So I guess what we could do is we could say, okay, let's work out what's the maximum number of people who can be added from the estimate. And we can do that from how we've done and worked out the costs previously. And you'll see what I mean in a moment if you're a bit confused. So if you remember this here, where we were saying if there's between 12 and 16 people going, the coach cost is 150. So what we could do is we could add and create another variable which is going to store the maximum number of people going, so that the coach would carry. Okay, so max number going, and I'm going to set that to be equal to be 0 to start with, and then for each band I'm going to say the maximum number of people going is going to be 16. So it's the maximum number here, 16. So if we need to add some more people, we can add up to 16 people. So I can say max number going here is going to be 26, because it's 26 here. And then the max number of people going on the last one is going to be 39. So that means that when we've got our while loop here, instead of saying while the counter is less than or equal to 39, we say less than or equal to the maximum number of people going, because that varies depending on the size of the coach we've got. Okay, so say for example, we say that there are, if it's the first one, there's a maximum of 16 people going. So say for example, we've got 15 people said that going, but then we've got a 16th person. That will let us add a 16th person, but not a 17th, because the coach won't be able to hold them because there won't be enough seats. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so what else do we need to do? We also need to calculate the total amount of money collected and print out a list of people going on the outing. So the total amount of money collected, we can do that. We need to do this outside the while loop. So we can just print that out and we can say money collected, and we can easily do that by just having the length of the array. Oh, no, we just add up everything on the array. So we can do a sum of the amount paid, and that will add everything up for us. We could, if we wanted to, do a for loop and it would add everything up. I'll just show you how to do that. Why not? So our total would be 0, and we can say for I in range 0 to the length of the paid array, and our total equals total plus paid I. Okay, and that will add everything up in the total in the paid array, and you'll see that if we print it out that it will be exactly the same. So nice little for loop there. It doesn't matter which you do. Obviously sum is there for us to use. You can use it if you want to. Okay, so we printed that out. We also need to print out who's going, so we can do that. Now if we just print out the going array, then well, you'll see what I mean. So if we print that out, it's not very pretty. It puts the brackets there for us from the array. It's not very pretty in Python. So actually what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do a for loop again. And that's from 0 to the length of the people going. And I'm just going to print out going I, like that. And that should be a bit nicer. Okay, so let's run that, and the number of senior citizens going is going to be, let's say 12. And how much am I supposed to pay? 45.71. So if I pay 46, I'm just going to keep adding my name because it's easier. I'll do it slightly differently. Bob's always a good one to come. And Simon, Bob and Simon, always ready to come to the senior citizens stuff. And then we've got Mary, and Mary's going to pay nothing because Mary's a carer, and Leanne is a carer as well. So Leanne's not going to pay anything. And then we've got, how many we've got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Harriet is coming. Harriet's sister is coming too. 8, 9, 10. And we've got 12 people going. So we've got Freddie, and he's paid 49. He's paid a bit more. And Freddie's wife, we don't know her name, and he's paid 49 for her as well. So we can enter -1 to quit. And there we go. The money collected. Oh, we have got an error for that one. Yeah, no, the money collected is fine. That's just looped around. You can see there that it's just printed out the array. The people going, that's correct. That's everything. Yeah, so we have got that one. I've not added that together, so that my for loop there was slightly incorrect. Well, no, it isn't incorrect. I just haven't printed it out, actually. So I haven't printed that out. I haven't printed that total out. And the money collected, so that should be the total. I put the wrong variable there. That's why it's not printed it out correctly. I've put paid. I've got it to print out the paid array instead of the total there. But otherwise, that's fine. Yeah, so that should be fine. 466. That looks good. Let's just try that again. I'm just going to test that again just to make sure it's okay. Oh, sorry, that threw me because that variable is wrong. Let's just try that again, and I'll just do it with 12 people with 10 people going again. And yeah. So we'll have people entering 48. I'm not very creative with the names, am I? So we've got a couple who are the carers, and 10th one is yeah, that will be the same, 48, and that should be fine. -1. Good. Okay, so the money collected is 481. Good. The number of people going, that's great. Perfect. So that's task 2 done.